This is Bryn from Michigan. Our home resort is Beach Club. You're listening to My DVC Points.
Parents and the children could have fun together.
Please board quickly and safely. Our monorail will be departing momentarily.
Welcome to the My DVC Points podcast. Join the conversation as DVC members share their stories, personal preferences, and magical memories. Your reservation is confirmed, your fast passes are booked. Pull up on the yellow strap because our journey into the magic of membership is about to begin.
To infinity and beyond.
Now, here's your host and curator of magical stories, Chad Pennycuff.
Welcome home, neighbors, to episode 258 of the My DVC Points podcast. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at Monera Financial. If you're looking at buying resale and you want to save a ton of money by buying resale, but you're a little short on money and you can't pay for the contract in full, no worries. Our friends at Monera Financial have got your back. They finance every single DVC resort that's out there. They're one of the largest financial companies, and they're also owned by our sponsors over at World of DVC. So if you happen to buy your contract through DVC Resale Market, you're going to have a seamless integration into their financing. And if for some odd reason DVC Resale Market doesn't have the contract that you're looking for, almost everybody in this space will use Monera Financial as well for their DVC financing. They are the industry leader in DVC financing. Let them know you heard about them here on the My DVC Points podcast. And whenever you get ready to buy that contract, please select My DVC Points in the How Did You Hear About Us drop-down list. In today's show, we're talking with Andy and Kelly Reese for their DVC member story. So welcome to the show, Andy and Kelly.
Hi, Chad.
Hi, thanks.
Hey, so guys, tell me a little bit about your Disney and DVC backstory here. How did you guys end up becoming Memory? How did this whole journey begin?
Well, we went on our first Disney trip together as the two of us in November 2016.
Yep, November 2016.
And it was a great time. We went there and really just fell in love with it from the get-go. And we kind of left there knowing, yeah, we definitely want to go back, but we weren't really ready to jump in off the diving board yet, if you will.
Right. We weren't sure how many times we were really wanting to go back and everything. So we were excited for our next trip. We went to Disneyland in spring 2017. And we were just still really excited to get back to Disney World. Went back in September 2017 and bought our first APs.
Yeah. So then once we got our APs, we were like, well, we got to start going more often. So that happened.
Those APs are the gateway drugs for add-on-itis. I'm telling you.
Oh, I know.
They are. So it got to the point where we were going, before we would finish our Disney trip, we would always have the next one planned. We always had to know when we were going back.
It's the only cure for the Disney blues is to start planning your next trip. And when you're a DVC member, you know you got another set of points coming up. So
Exactly.
You do. Yeah. When 2020 hit and kind of canceled all of our plans and we didn't know when we were going to travel again, we got the big Disney blues, is not knowing when we were going to go back traveling and always being those avid Disney planners. We knew we were always going to go back. And at that point, we had rented DVC points, but we hadn't looked back into purchasing again. So over COVID, when we were stuck at home, is when we really started breaking down what it would take to purchase DVC. And that's when we found your podcast and your great community to really kind of help educate us on what we really needed to know to make our decision for a purchase.
Yeah, we definitely owe the entire My DVC Points community a big thank you, because especially that Member 101 podcast series you guys have really helped us a lot understanding those intricacies of DVC. I mean, a Disney vacation is complicated in itself. And then when you decide to go DVC, you're like, let's turn it up a notch and make it a little bit more complicated. But you guys really broke that down for us and explained everything for us. So we really were able to make good decisions when it was time to buy that first contract.
Yeah, and just for people listening, if you go to mydvcpoints.com/new member, we have an audio playlist that's there that's like a recommended order of listening if you're researching or new to DVC, or you kind of want to know the nuts and bolts of this. And my general take is listen to your guide for all of the legal technicalities of this. But when you want to go beyond the technicalities into the practicalities of how actual members use this, that's when you need to start listening to members. So
absolutely.
We want time to be able to go to these parks and not have to shuffle contracts constantly. We still do that, obviously, but we wanted a long-term contract right off the bat. So
yeah. So where did you guys end up picking for a home resort?
Polynesian
Resort, yeah.
So we got the app for the DVC resale market and set up one of their trackers where they notify you when the contracts pop up, and picked up a 100-point Polynesian contract and used Monera Financial to help us get that contract purchased. And it worked out really well because we were refinancing our house at the time, and we didn't want to hit our bank account or our credit score while we were doing that. So we did one of their no credit check with Monera Financial at their office and have them notarize for us. And it was during that time, because it was like 2020, was it August 2020 or August 2021 that we did that?
2021.
Okay. Yeah. But still, we hadn't been back to Disney. So it was like that just little hit of magic for us locally. And it was really nice and exciting.
Yeah, that's really cool. I know, stay on the lookout as well, because I think they do like an email list. And I know when they first signed up, one of the new Star Wars movies came out and they rented a whole theater like opening weekend and invited all of the people on their email list that were local to Indianapolis there. They do some really cool stuff for people that are local there. And yeah, I would seriously start checking that out, guys. So that worked out great that you're able to go right there, physically close, all of that as well. The remote process works really good as well with DocuSign. And the problem is you just got to get the papers notarized and sent back. And that's a little bit of a hassle, but not too much.
Yeah, it would have been easy to do on our own, but it just worked out and they had some time for us to come in. So it was a great experience.
Yeah, awesome. So then since you bought these 100 points at Poly, has Adonitis kicked in? Have you bought any more points or?
Yes, we have. When we signed up, we knew 100 points would never cut it. So we automatically had a plan that we did want to become direct members for the benefits. Resale is great and a good value on points, but we did want those member benefits. So we did keep our eye on what Disney had for sale direct. And when Grand Floridian went for sale with no resale restrictions, we were ready to jump on board and become direct members.
And one of the other main reasons we wanted to do resale first was we knew, again, through the My DVC Points community, when I asked on the Facebook group, I was told that if you have a resale contract,
you get existing member pricing, which is about $5 to $6 a point cheaper than if you're not a member. And I think we've been pushing that and advertising that so much that they've now come back in and responded and said, okay, you have to be a member for a year before that discount kicks in. So full disclosure on that one. It's like we find these little loopholes and then we promote them and then DVC comes back in and shuts them down. Like the whole way back when I bought in 2017, you only needed 25 points as an add-on to become a blue card member. So you'd go buy your resale first and then tack on 25 points and boom, you got all the bennies.
Oh, I know about 2017 well. When we stayed in 2017, it was our first time at a deluxe resort, and we stayed at Wilderness Lodge. And I had a really good conversation with a DVC rep there. And I am just kicking myself that we didn't get a 25-point contract or a 50-point contract at Copper Creek right then. I was still hesitant, and I was still thinking timeshare bad. And finally, I did the math and I was like, oh, okay, no, that was a mistake.
Well, and just the pure sticker shock of they want how much? And you don't really understand what you're getting for.
And you don't
all
understand
that
the
money.
value of what you're getting either,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. So that's why coming in and researching it later was definitely beneficial.
Yeah, I think there's 50 million DVC members out there that are in the shoulda, woulda, coulda club, as Andy Berry calls it, from DVC Resale Market, with I should have pulled the trigger on this earlier. And that's like one of the bigger regrets you hear in the community is, hey, we should have done this earlier. But it's kind of like everybody's got their own pace on this. I sat on the sidelines for 15 years, which is kind of why I started this show, is to help people come back in and learn about it and get off the sidelines. start making some great memories for their family. And it sounds like you guys are just like following this and doing everything as smart as humanly possible.
We're trying.
Yeah, we do our best.
So where all have you guys stayed on points so far?
Between our points and then renting points pre-buying DVC, we've stayed at several. We've stayed at Boardwalk, Saratoga, Animal Kingdom, Jambo and Kidani, Bay Lake Tower, Poly, Copper Creek, and the Riviera.
Wow, you guys have like seriously covered some ground there.
Yeah, we like checking out different resorts, and it's our goal to stay at all of them.
For sure.
Yeah, well, I am caught up finally. It took me like 4+ years to do this. And I am very proud to announce the opening day of Villas at Disneyland Hotel. I have a room, and I will continue my caught up track record as the day that the new one opens up. So I'm kind of happy about that, because I feel like if I didn't stay there and didn't go, I wouldn't be able to credibly and intelligently talk about this with people. So I kind of want to be somewhat of an expert on here if I'm going to talk about this as a subject matter. So now that you've stayed at all these places, what else is on your DVC bucket list?
Definitely want to hit Aulani. That's a must for us.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like Kelly said a minute ago, we still want to hit all the rest of the resorts, at least the ones at Walt Disney World and Disneyland. Vero and Hilton Head would be nice to do, but we also do like a big family vacation to the beach every year. So those are not as high on the want list as some of the others.
Yeah, I kind of get that. I mean, during COVID, the beach resorts became really, really, really popular because they're outdoorsy in nature, and you've got a little bit more elbow room than you do in a theme park, crammed up in a queue for a ride. So that's when I really knocked out all three of the beach resorts for me, because in those years I did Hilton Head, Aulani, and Vero, because we didn't really want to take the family to theme parks at the time. So it just worked out great that I could hit them then. But yeah, Aulani, spectacular. Can't say enough great things about it. And really, really, really love every resort for various different reasons. And they all have something that's unique that will speak to people in different ways. So now, what all types of room have you guys stayed in so far?
We've been very fortunate. We have stayed in studios, 1-bedrooms, and even we got a 2-bedroom once. We took family with us, and we rented a 2-bedroom at Kidani. So that was really nice to be able to take them with us. And
it was a lot of fun. And I really loved it because my nephew at the time kept calling our hotel room Andy's house. So we're going back to Andy's house.
Yeah. I think he inspired the bug, because this was, well, we were renting points and still not owners. And so, yeah, it was great to be like, oh, well, this could be our home.
Yeah, it could be. Could be. So far, you've got Polynesian and you've got the direct points at Grand Flow, which is a phenomenal deal right now. They are doing a fire sale to close out and blow out those points. If everybody doesn't know about that, I mean, they're just really, really, really priced to move, because they've got new Polynesian Tower coming up. They've got this new DVC Fort Wilderness campground conversion coming up, and Aulani is still there. And our best estimates are that it's only at max 75% sold out. So it's like they've got a lot of active inventory, and 3 million points over at Disneyland has now went up for sale. So they've got a lot of active inventory, and they kind of need to close out a resort and get that off. So Grand Flow is a great resort to own as well. What led into your decision to own Grand Flow?
Looking at the resale market and seeing the prices there, and they were averaging right around 200 or just over 200 when we bought. And when we bought, it was in that pre-time where it wasn't even available to the public yet. It was only available to current members. And so we ended up getting our points for like 197 or 187 or something like that. It was a great deal. We just wanted to jump on it right then.
Right. And we were attracted to the Grand Flow as opposed to the Riviera because there's no resale restrictions. While we don't want to think that we'll ever sell it, we do like the safety net that eventually if we do need to sell it, we just feel like the Grand Flow would be worth more than a Riviera contract with resale restrictions.
Yeah, I can't agree with you more on that as well. And I bought the Disneyland Tower because they can't just drain another swamp and put another timeshare up there. And let's be honest, if you buy Grand Cal today on resale, it's only to stay at Grand Cal. You're not trying to network those points. So I figure the same thing will work there. but I'm not so sure about it when it comes to here in Walt Disney World, because you having only one arrow in your quiver to find a vacation.
Yeah, that's why we also we're not interested in buying Riviera resale. We were kind of bummed that we wouldn't be able to stay there on resale points, but we knew when we eventually got direct points, we would be able to stay there. And we have, and we love it. We would love to buy Riviera down the road, but only if the resale restrictions come off.
Yeah, that's kind of a big deal as well. And time will tell how that unfolds. Hopefully, the DVC executives have learned and will take this off. I have heard from Inside Scuttlebutt that they highly considered not having them in Disneyland. But at the end of the day, they were like, this is our one and done shot. The city only has so many timeshare licenses to grant, and we already have 2. So we better make hay while the sun is shining here. So that's why they put the resale restrictions on there. But they were considering taking them off because consumer advocates like ourselves are out here talking about it and saying, hey, this is a really, 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 really bad thing. And they start to see the slow sales at Riviera because of it. So time will tell. Time will tell. Hopefully our message gets out there and we can start to impact that and change. What's changed in the way you do Disney vacations now that y'all are DVC members?
We had our first child and then bought into DVC, and we haven't truly hit our groove going into the parks again yet, now that we have a little one with us. But the biggest change for us is definitely the knowing we're always going to come back. And for instance, we went I think 8 times to Walt Disney World from 2016 to 2019. And in that time, we never made it over to Universal once. But since becoming DVC members, we actually took an entire trip to Universal and didn't really have FOMO of not going to Disney because we knew we have these points now. We know we're coming back regularly. And we ended up having a great time over there too, and enjoyed all the new roller coasters and rides over there and stuff like that.
Yeah, I have an annual pass for Universal now, and I never had one until I actually bought a house here. And I can only just say they are 100% legit, and keep your eyes out because the Universal Disney competition is about to get escalated to a whole new level. When Wizarding World and Harry Potter stuff came out, Disney kind of got caught by surprise as to how well that did. And I think the next round of that is Mario is just going to kick their Koopa. Disney's got nothing on the horizon and nothing even close to the popularity of the #1 video game franchise in the world. I mean, think about this. Anybody under the age of 60 has played Mario, right? We have done Super Mario World. We grew up with Nintendos. You're talking about 40 years of people with money to spend and go on vacation. Who doesn't want to go see that?
Yeah, I'm very excited for Epic Universe. I've been following their construction and everything. I'm excited for when it opens.
Yeah, it's going to be a great time going out there once those are both open, and competition is great for consumers. And we're long-term consumers of the Orlando theme park market now, so it's good for us.
Yeah, now, when you guys went there, did you look at the swap program through DVC Rental Store where you could kind of your points for a Universal vacation?
We actually had already booked our first full week at the Polynesian before we even knew that we were going to go to Universal. So
it was kind of a last minute decision to not go into the Disney parks. We had an October trip just prior to, and we had our fingers crossed like everybody else that the APs would come back, that we could upgrade our tickets to APs and come in for the December trip on APs. But once our October trip came and went, we were looking at having to buy another week of Disney tickets. And we said, you know what? Universal's running a great deal. We could just go over there.
I still do not understand that delay in selling annual passes. It's like Disney just keeps giving money away. They took a loyal Disney family and sent them over to Universal because they don't understand this fundamental principle that comes into DVC, even though I've said it 1,000 times, into their member feedback thing. Annual passes are the gateway drug for add-on-itis. You give us an annual pass, now we want to come more, and in order to come more, we need to buy more points.
Yep, absolutely. The lack of AP definitely sent us over to Universal, which I mean, we had a great time and we're definitely excited for Epic Universe. We will definitely get APs again, but just when it makes financial sense for us, we're not going to let Disney pressure us into buying again.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. I'm very fortunate that I can do that Florida resident one for $3.99.
Oh, yeah.
Monday through Friday. And my family had a cow when they first had to scale back from the one that was only blocked out for Christmas and Easter.
Yeah.
And what do you mean we can't go on weekends? Now they're just like, oh, yeah, okay. We'll hit it Monday through Friday while we're here. And then we realize Orlando has a ton of things to go do on weekends, like Universal, like shopping, like all of this other kind of fun stuff. And so it doesn't really bother them anymore. But yeah, Disney, they need to quit messing with annual pass holders and really just lean into the value that we bring, especially DVC members as well. Can't stress that enough. The DVC member audience plans on coming, and they listen to all kinds of DVC content and podcasts and shows so that you can hear about the latest restaurants and figure out and do countdowns. And we're going to Woody's Lunchbox because that's a new restaurant that had opened. And it's like it's your loyal fan base and you're not enable them to be loyal. So hopefully they've learned their lesson. We'll see. We'll see. If Tinkerbell were to put 2,000 one-time use points into your account that were pixie dusted and you could book anything in the entire DVC system at any time you wanted, how would you use Tink's 2,000 magical points?
It's always been my dream to like stay in Orlando for like a month. And we could rent a house or whatever, but it would be cool to stay on property for a month. So we were kind of looking at the options out there. And I think like the ultimate trip would be to go for the Christmas week at Bay Lake Tower in a 1-bedroom theme park view room and just get to enjoy Christmas and all the fireworks every night and everything from one of those rooms. And then when we went to Riviera, we had an absolute blast and loved that resort. So then we would move over to Riviera and get like a 2-bedroom and just stay for a month. And, you know, it's not the ultimate vacation.
Okay, it's the first time I've ever heard a 1-bedroom come up in this conversation. But I think that makes sense because you can get the theme park view 1-bedrooms. Those things are spectacular. And for a family of 3, that's more than enough space. And if you're not bringing anybody else for your month-long trip, I don't know that I'd want to bring anybody else for a month-long trip either, just to be honest with you.
People can come visit once we get over to the Riviera.
Oh, yeah. You guys can pop in for a little bit and pop out, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank you guys so much for being a part of our show today and joining us and sharing back your story. And it's always great to hear from our community members who actually benefited from the content that we put out there, because podcasting gets kind of lonely at times if you don't hear back from people that interact with your shows.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having us, Chad. We really had a good time. And yeah, your content has helped us tremendously. And it's been great having a community to just geek out with and share in our DVC excitement.
For sure.
Yeah.
It's been great.
Well, thanks for joining us. And for those of you who don't know, you can just search for My DVC Points Community on Facebook is our primary group. About 5,000 people there. And we're also one of the best moderated groups that are out there because we're not all pixie dust. We keep it real and authentic, but we keep it respectful and there's no snark. And we want to answer everybody's questions. There is no go Google it. This has been search the questions. It's been asked 50 million times. We get that. We're not going to try to change people. We're just going to come back in and try to serve you and answer your questions there in a positive way that's in an enjoyable environment to see as you're scrolling through Facebook. So thanks again for joining us today, guys. Well, that puts another episode on the books. I'd like to do a huge shout out of thanks to DVC Resale Market, DVC Rental Store, and Monera Financial, and everybody over at World of DVC for their continued support throughout Season 10 of the My DVC Points podcast. Also like to do a huge shout out of thanks to our Patreon members as well. And we've got a couple of interesting shows that were up on there. Some team members made it into Club 33. We have a little mini trip report that's there for the Patreon members as well. And then we do Moonlight Magic booking parties for Patreon members, where we all collaborate together and make sure that everybody who wants to go to a Moonlight Magic can get in. Whether it's we help you get your own reservation or we snag a couple extra tickets to make sure you can get in as well with another member from the community. So huge shout out of thanks to all of our Patreon members, and thank you for tuning in, everybody. Hopefully you found something in today's show that'll help you go out there and plan something magical for your family.
Ladies and gentlemen, please watch your head and step as you exit, and take small children by the hand.
Aw, chill up, Dad. You know we'll come back. With DVC.
My DVC Points is an unofficial Disney-inspired podcast created by fans of Disney Vacation Club. The thoughts expressed in this podcast are personal opinions and personal experiences. My DVC Points is not affiliated with Disney Vacation Club, the Walt Disney Companies, or any subsidiaries. We encourage listeners to contact their DVC guide or member services for official DVC policies.